Firstly, it's time for some housekeeping. The Vancouver Canucks have a game later today against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I, unfortunately, am not going to be able to make a post-game video about it. There's a hockey tournament going on in the local league that I'm a part of, and it's all of Saturday. Lots of stuff going on today. I got 2 games coming up today, depending on the scheduling and everything, so my day is going to be pretty busy with some extracurricular stuff. Therefore, I'm not going to be able to watch Vancouver-Toronto, or I'm probably going to be able to watch it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make a video about it. Everything for me starts right after the third period is supposed to end in that Vancouver game. So no video about Vancouver-Toronto, but we do have some time to go out there and talk about the Canucks and the playoffs. And the reason we're saying those 2 words in the same sentence is because yesterday, during Patrik Allvin's presser post-trade deadline, he says that missing the playoffs this year is a big disappointment, and he takes ownership of that, but he expects this group, with Hronek added, to be a playoff team next year. And this is sort of where Canucks fans start to, okay, do I want to say it? I'll say it. We start to bash our heads against the wall. Because for far too long, the Vancouver Canucks have been in a position where the team on the ice is just not good enough to quote-unquote be a playoff team. You could say all you want about, okay, we added these pieces, we added Filip Hronek, we got rid of Lazar, we kept Miller, we kept Boeser, we kept Garland, we kept all this money. You can say all you want about the moves the team had or had not made. But I think the majority of people who watch this team for this season's worth of play can watch a few games, see how they perform, and say, yeah, that's not really a playoff team. Now I know, there are some good games thrown in there. The Canucks were hanging with the Boston Bruins before Linus Ullmark scored that empty net goal. The Vancouver Canucks have been finding ways to squeeze points out of these games by finding Andrei Kuzmenko to tie things up late, or Kuzmenko wins it in overtime. The Canucks have been getting points, and they have looked better under Rick Tocchet. But this attitude that the Canucks seem to have, where it's like, yeah, okay, we got Filip Hronek now we're a playoff team. Now this team should be capable of making it into the dance. It sort of stings in the same way to Canucks fans because of how Jim Benning would talk about this team beforehand. Oh, we want to remain competitive, we want to retool on the fly, we want to get guys who are 25 years old and younger, and those guys are not going to help us just now, but they're going to help us into the future too. And guess who Jim Benning ended up getting? You got the Lyndon Veys, and the Marcus Granlunds, and the Erica Bransons, and the Lucas Spizas, and all the guys that didn't really do much for Vancouver. Now, I'm not going to go out there and say that Filip Hronek is in that same boat. I think that Hronek is probably the best Vancouver Canucks individual player asset they've acquired in a trade since JT Miller. Even aside from that, going beyond JT Miller, I mean, go back to the Kessler deal. Okay, Benino Spiza. None of those guys were amazing. Jared McCann, you got Erica Branson. That guy sucked. He's really bad in Vancouver. All the other trades that the team has made, the only really amazing acquisition, aside from, I guess you could maybe single out Conor Garland, but you could also not do that if you wanted to, it's JT. And I feel like Hronek is in a position where, yeah, if he has a JT Miller-like impact on this team, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just, this team was, 7th last in the NHL right now? 6th last in the NHL right now? There's a consistency issue with this team, a defensive issue with this team, and you don't address either of those things by making one Filip Hronek and one Curtis Lazar trade and expect to be a playoff contender next year. You're still going to have to free up salary cap space. And how do you do that? You either buy out Oliver Ekman-Larsson, that in which Patrik Allvin says he's hesitant to do, or you make your team severely worse by trading away a Boeser, by trading away a Garland, or trading away a JT. And then there's that crazy demand where it's like, oh, the Canucks want a player in return. They didn't trade JT because they wanted a center in return. And I have a problem with that as well, because if you're trying to trade away JT Miller, you are most likely, under most circumstances, trading him to a cup contending team. And a cup contending team is not going to go out there and give you a valuable center back Because most of these teams that are cup contending have no real prospects to speak of anyway, that are NHL ready at least. Like, you talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins, we had talked about this in the video yesterday, but like, the Penguins have Crosby, they've got Malkin, they have Jeff Carter, Ryan Poehling is in there too. Do you really think that the Penguins would give up any of these guys, or that it would be worth your while if you're Vancouver to take any of them on for JT? Trying to expect a really strong young center in return for JT Miller is so, man, do I want to use the word delusional? Because if it's just draft picks coming back, you could use those in a number of ways. You could draft a player like Connor Bedard or Adam Fantilli or Leo Carlsson if the pick is good enough, which it's probably not going to be, because if you're trading with a playoff team, you're probably going to get a pick, let's say 16 plus in the draft, but still, if you traded the pick away after that, the asset that you're ending up trading away is worth no money, because draft picks are technically free. You don't have salary cap space for draft picks, and it's a lot more flexible for a team to get a draft pick on and say, okay, well, here's a center that we have that has not been working out for us too much. You can take him. Here, Alex Turcotte, for example. Like, It boggles my mind how the Vancouver Canucks have such short-term planning that they're focusing so much on the immediate future while also focusing on the immediate usage of the assets they acquire. Oh, I'm not going to get draft picks because I don't want to get draft picks just to get draft picks. I want to get draft picks to get players and trade for players. That's what Patrik Allvin said yesterday too. What the hell else are you supposed to do with draft picks? You get a good draft pick, you trade him away for a good player, you just got Hronek in that. Okay, I'll still give the benefit of the doubt for Hronek because of his talent level, his age. He fits right in there with the Petys and the Hugheses, but I'll still call this team out for the way it talks about its vision and how they see the team shaping up over the next few months. How this team should be a quote-unquote playoff contender now that they've got Filip Hronek. All it took was one Filip Hronek and not anything else, and they're a playoff team already. It's not like they needed to add any more defensemen. No, they could go out there with the decor of Kyle Burrows, Noah Juleson. You've got Christian Wolanin in there, and they could be a playoff team. Yeah, sure, I get it. They squeezed out points in February, March of this year. But can you do that over 82 games next season? And furthermore, I think a lot of people would say that, yeah, sure, the Canucks underperformed at the start of the year. They had a really bad problem with giving up leads, and Thatcher Demko wasn't amazing. You could debate, oh, it's because of his health, and he needed the surgery, and he needed to take the time off, and now that he's back, it's okay, it's all good now, capiche. But, like, there's just so much wrong with the process of how this team performs, consistency-wise, talent-wise on the blue line, and you could even say backup goaltending-wise. Demko's been good lately, but can you really expect him to be able to carry this team for 50-plus games playing like that, with a defense in front of him that looks like that, night in and night out consistently? Like, there's so much wrong, in my opinion, with the idea of definitively saying that the Vancouver Canucks, who are one of the worst teams in the NHL right now, should be a playoff team next year. Like, am I the only one that's still uncomfortable with that? Sure, with Petey, with Miller, with Hughes, if these guys are all performing their best, Petey is a 100-point center, Quinn is an 80-point defenseman, JT probably gets 100 points again if everything goes right, Kuzmenko maybe gets 70, 80 points, and that's good, but do you see that being enough to take this team into the postseason in the first place and actually doing some damage there? Because the Vancouver Canucks strategy for so long has been just to get in, that the 2020 bubble year where they did get in and they ended up making it one game shy of the third round, I feel like that really tainted expectations for people that are running this team, saying, hey, all we gotta do is make the dance and then we're in. Like, we don't need to win, we just gotta get in there, and all of a sudden, boom, we have a really good chance of succeeding. Anything can happen in playoffs, baby, right? It seems more so that this team is focused on squeaking in and making a Cinderella run rather than building a consistent contender that can dominate consistently over and over and over again. I'm not going to use individual teams and say, oh, the Canucks should be like them. But, like, Vegas is consistently there. Always number one in the Pacific. Boston is incredible this year, but they're incredible most years. Tampa Bay, usually there. Patrik Allvin compared the Canucks and Tampa Bay in the same sentence in the same press interview yesterday. The Vancouver Canucks are more so focused on building a team that squeaks in and maybe goes on a run, rather than a team that is consistently on top of the division, the conference, the league, a team that teams want to fear. Canucks don't really seem like they're into building one of those. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.